Hi there, my name's Kirsten. This is the Paper Knits Podcast, episode number 18. I am a knitter in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and I really love to knit, and I've been doing a lot of knitting lately. It feels like it has been a while since I have just sat down and done a normal episode. And so, yeah, I've got lots of things to share. My last episode that I put up was a recap from Knit City Calgary, which was in August. And it was so wonderful. And I wanted to show off a little bit about how that weekend was. And so that was the last episode I put up only a month later after the actual event happened. But that's okay. And so I might show off some of the things that I actually bought at Knit City. But otherwise, I have a lot of things to show that I knit that I've just been working on. And so, yeah, let's get into it. First off, I want to share what I'm wearing, which is my Ranunculus that I knit for Knit City. About like 2 weeks before the show, I decided I wanted to make an outfit, and this was the vision. Let me stand up and show you the whole thing. This is a linen dress from Nettle's Tail, which is a company based in Vancouver. They've got a storefront in Vancouver. They design their own clothes and swimsuits and are ethically produced, and I really love their whole like vibe. So I have quite a few items from them. I have a swimsuit. That was the first thing I bought from them. And a couple of dresses now. And then I recently bought a couple pairs of pants. And yeah, I just really like their whole vibe. So this dress I bought, they had a pop-up here in Edmonton in the summer. And I love it. It's just, yeah, I really love it. And this whole like vision of like the linen dress with the knit sweater on top was just like very much what I was going for. And so I'm really happy with how my Ranunculus turned out. This is the second one I've made. And the first one I ripped out. I hardly wore it, and then I ripped it out to reuse the yarn for something else. But this one I'm really happy with. So, and this took me 5 days to knit. I had been like, oh, can I finish it in 2 weeks before Knit City? Yes, I finished it in 5 days. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. This yarn has been in my stash for a really long time. Yeah, these was a couple special skeins of yarn that I had in my stash for quite a while. The company was called Rocky Mountain Fiber Co. Rocky Mountain Yarn Co. And now they're called Fantasy Fibers Yarn Co. I think they're based in Calgary. And this was a pre-order that they had done that was all Lord of the Rings inspired. And so this one is called If I Take One More Step, which was a Samwise Gamgee inspired colorway. And I just really liked that. I also have a DK weight sock set that I have been hoarding. But it was nice to get this. Yes, this is like what I had in mind when I bought it. I got scared off from the Ranunculus from the first one that I made, but I'm really happy with this one. It is a single ply, 90% superwash merino, 10% linen. And so that was kind of interesting to knit with. I don't know if the 10% linen is really going to be like cooling and breezy and stuff, but it's a very loose top and short sleeve, obviously, and whatever. So it was perfect for this summer. I did make a couple of modifications on it, which I think is part of why I like the fit of it better. The original gauge for this, I think, is 14 stitches, and mine is 17 stitches. I just cast on with my normal like twisted German twisted cast on and went right into the ribbing. The cast on in the pattern is like kind of fiddly. And then I didn't do the front short rows, and I double checked my kind of increases as I went to make sure I was getting the width that I wanted to get the ease that I wanted. And I added an extra round of these slip stitches and added some extra increases as I went. I also accidentally changed needle size as I was going through the yoke because I was switching from a shorter cable to a longer one of like my fixed needles, and I grabbed the wrong one. So it's like part of the joy of this sweater is that it is highly customizable and very forgiving. And so even with, yes, lots of modifications that I was making, it turned out really well, and I'm really happy with the fit. So yeah, I used 1.5 skeins of this single ply fingering weight yarn, so like 540 meters or so. I don't know what I would have paid for this at the time. Hand dyed, like indie dyed yarn. I'm guessing it was like probably $32 a skein, Canadian. Actually, I'm curious, if you are American, what's the like standard price that you would expect for like an indie dyed skein of yarn? Because here it's like about 30, 32 is like pretty normal Canadian. And so maybe it's the same when it's American, but if I was going to buy it, it would be like way more because of the exchange rate. Anyways, I'm curious about that. So I didn't calculate what my actual cost was for this, but yeah, I really like it. And I then, for my Knit City outfit, I also knit a little hair tie, like a little bow out of some of the leftovers. And so this, I used a free pattern called a Simple Thing scarf, I believe, which I have used before. It's kind of like a Sophie scarf dupe, and is also very easy to modify. And so this is like much skinnier than the pattern is written for, but I just changed how many increases I did. And I had this tied in my hair with a little bow at Knit City for the one day. And I tried to put it in my hair today, but I wasn't vibing with it today. So I thought I would just show you. But anyways, this was my Knit City outfit. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. And yeah, I've worn it a couple times and also throughout the summer, and it just feels like, yes, it's just what I wanted it to be. And so I was quite happy with that. So yeah, this was a really quick project. I'm really happy with it. This like made me realize or like understand the hype more about the Ranunculus and make me feel like I would actually knit it again. So yeah, quite successful. So that was one of my FOs that I have. Another one is a brand new one that I have not talked about yet at all. This was a test knit that I did for Isabella Clark from 100 Acre Wool. She's a designer, she's a podcaster. It's called the Amoretta Blouse. And I worked on this throughout August and September. And actually, I must have cast this on right before Knit City, because I was also like, oh, maybe I'll finish it before I go to Knit City, and then I'll have 2 things that I made for it. But that was wishful thinking for sure. I very quickly realized that that was not going to happen. This is also fingering weight, 22 stitch gauge. I knit mine in Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, which I had purchased last year, and I have never used it before, and have kind of like heard mixed things about it. That it's like maybe not that nice to knit with, that the lack of elasticity in the silk is like kind of hard on your hands or whatever, but I actually really enjoyed it. I ended up using bamboo needles because that's what I had available. My other ones were being used for something in that size. And so the bamboo with the silk I didn't love because it was kind of extra like sticky. But I quite enjoyed working with it. So this pattern was just released on September 28th. And yeah, so you can see that now on Ravelry, all the testers and stuff that I've put theirs up. It's a cool pattern. It's a really interesting construction. Like you cast on one shoulder and you cast on the other shoulder. It has really interesting shaping across the shoulders and the sleeves. And it makes it look like a set-in sleeve construction. I want to say maybe this is what a contiguous shoulder construction is, but I'm not actually sure if that's true or not. And then there's also lots of modifications in the pattern for if you want it to be just knit in the round. There's an option for it to be knit flat and then add a button placket. There's different options for like a scalloped edge, a folded over edge, or ribbing. And so there's instructions for all of that. There's instructions for a long sleeve version or a short sleeve. And yeah, there's lots of different options for how you want to modify it. I think that Bella wanted it to be a flexible, customizable pattern. And yeah, it was a really interesting construction. You really have to pay attention to what you're doing at the start of it, because there's a couple of places where you're increasing 3 times into the same stitch. Like it's a make one left, make one right or something, or like there's something like that all into the same bar on either side of a stitch marker or something. And you're like, really? Like, is that actually what I'm supposed to be doing? But you just got to trust the process. And it was a good like brain teaser for me, which I really enjoyed. And just like seeing how it all came together was really nice. I'll put in some pictures and stuff here of like more details of it. I'm not wearing it, however, because it's too low for me. And so when I saw the pattern, I knew that it was going to be a V-neck, obviously, and I should have double checked what the actual measurement was for the V. I did give some feedback about adding in the V-neck depth for in the schematic, and so Bella added that because I probably would have needed to make some modifications, but I just was like, no, I'm sure it'll be fine, and then it wasn't. So there was me and one other tester who found that it was just a bit too low, and it might just be my own comfort level with that. I do think that I'm kind of short from here to here. Like I found often, like with ready-to-wear clothes, like with something with straps or something, like they're always too long. And so I need to have a certain size to fit my bust, but this part is always too big. And so if I size down and then it happens to be shorter, like in the strap length or whatever, then it doesn't fit me elsewhere. And so I know that anyways, and I probably just like needed to reduce some stitches here. So my gauge is right. I also was wondering if maybe just like the drapiness of the silk made it just drape a little bit differently on my body. And I think I could probably wear like a lace camisole or something underneath, but the lace with the scalloped edging that I did, like, I think that would be too busy. And so I maybe would need to like rip out the scallop and just like knit the regular one. Or I could just rock the low cut top, but I don't think that I'm going to be comfortable to do that. So I did try it on a couple times, but I kept like pulling it up this way. But because of how the shoulder details are, it's like very clear where the shoulder is supposed to sit. And then I was just hiking that backwards and backwards, right, to try and like raise up the neckline a little bit. So that's too bad. Because it is a very, like, it's what I wanted it to be, like with this like drapey summery top with the pure silk. And yeah, cute design, cool construction, but that's probably not one that I'm going to wear. So I haven't decided yet what I want to do. It's just living on my mannequin right now. So, yes, I did put up pictures on my Ravelry, not of me wearing it, because again, I just didn't quite feel comfortable with that. We'll see if it stays as is, or if it just gets ripped out and turned into something else, or if I just rip it out and redo it. Like I could keep this part, right? And I like joined at the V-neck and then a little bit later split for sleeves. So I'd have to take off the sleeve, rip back the whole body, and then modify the neckline. But then I also figure I have to do that by myself, and that's not within my current skill set. So we'll see. I don't know what's going to end up happening with it. So that was a bit of a bummer. And I do genuinely think it was just the combination of things with like my body and the yarn that I used, and not the pattern, because except for the one other person who said it was also too low for them, everybody else said that it was fine and it looks like it fits them well and everything. There was a couple of modifications that I made for this as well, just if you're curious if you end up making it. And I think, again, this was because of the pure silk, and I hadn't knit with it before, like I said, and so maybe this is a common thing, but when you work the neckline and then you come back and pick up for the scalloped edge, or if you were going to just do a knit, like a ribbed neckline, you could see really clearly every place that I picked up to knit. And there was like, it almost looked like little eyelets all the way around the edge. I was like, oh, that's not really what I want. And I think if it had been wool, it wouldn't have been as noticeable. It would have like filled itself in a little bit more where those holes were. So what I ended up doing is that I very carefully picked up and did a single crochet edge around the outside, and then picked up into that to do the actual scallop. And so I think it did make a difference. I think I wasn't needing to pull as much to like do a little crochet chain along the edge instead of like to knit stitch into it. I don't know. It might have just been a change in my brain that wasn't in real life, but it seemed like it helped. And I think it added a little bit more like stability to the neckline, which again, because I was like, I think this is going to be too low, I thought that that would help so it wouldn't like stretch out anymore. But it ended up being quite tidy, and so that was nice. I had to fiddle with it a little bit about like how many stitches I was picking up at a time, because the first couple times I did it, I think I picked up too few and it was kind of bunchy. So I had to kind of fiddle around with that a little bit. But I think that was the only... Oh, and then I ended up knitting a couple of extra rounds on the sleeve. Like, I think it has you like knit 1 round and then go right to the edging, but I knit 3 rounds. Like, not that major of a difference, but it used less than 3 little balls of the Knitting for Olive. So I had 4, and I have this much left from one of them and then an entire other one left. And so that's part of why I'm wondering if like, oh, I should maybe rip this out and knit something different that actually uses up all of my yarn. Because now I don't know what I'm going to do with one little like 50-gram ball of it and a little bit of extra. But it was very, you got a lot of bang for your buck for the, like I knit the size 46-inch one. So I think it was size 5 out of 10. And so to do that in less than 150 grams of yarn was quite good. Oh, I did also add a little bit of shaping on the sides here, just so I had a little bit more ease at the bottom, which I wouldn't have needed to do. Again, I think maybe with the drape of it, it did not cling to my stomach at all. It was like flowy and drapey, so I probably could have skipped that, but I wanted to do it just in case. I don't think it harms it. I probably started like here maybe, and then added just a little bit of shaping. I think probably up to the neck size circumference. So yeah, anyways, I've got info about that on my Ravelry if you want to check it out. Look at the other people's tester photos who are actually wearing it. There's some really cute ones. And yeah, just like cute styling and stuff with them. And so yeah, go check that out. Okay, another project that I have not shown on here yet because it was a secret up until a couple of days ago, which is a preview knit for Brooklyn Tweed. That was an exciting thing for me to get to do. Their test knitting program is a little bit different. They are looking, it's like they're quite clear that like this is a preview knit. You don't have to provide feedback on the pattern if you don't want to. I think that they go into it feeling pretty confident that the pattern's in a good place. Having it been knit a couple of times by their team, been tech edited, all of that kind of stuff. It's like already formatted perfectly and stuff in the pattern. I think my pattern is going to get released on October 9th. And yeah, so it was just kind of cool. They also offered a discount on the yarn that the pattern was written in. If I ordered it directly from Brooklyn Tweed. So I didn't do that. It didn't make sense with the exchange rate, again, with all of that kind of thing, but it's a bulky weight pattern. It's designed in their Quarry base or their Arbor Lodge, which is their bulkier version of the Arbor base, which I used for my Admix pullover that I just finished. And so I did definitely consider using that yarn because I just enjoyed the like DK weight version of it so much. Ultimately, I went on the other end of the price spectrum and bought Estelle Outback Chunky, which I was able to get from my local yarn store, the Fiber Nook, and it's been really great. I've really enjoyed working with it. So they had a couple of skeins of Quarry there as well that I went to go squish just to see, like decide if I wanted to like order that. But I'm glad that I just went with this. It's been really nice to knit with, and it's been nice working on a bulky weight pattern. Gauge for this is 14 stitches. And should I show it now finally? So here is the sweater. It's looking a little bit brighter on screen than it actually is. It's a little bit more navy than like royal blue. I'm knitting for my husband. So it is a Oliver textured pullover, top down. It's called The Typewriter, and it's by Jared Flood. And it says, it gives a modern nod to seaworthy pullovers from ages past. Big impact texture paired with a boxy cocoon shape made this cuddle-worthy wardrobe warrior. So I didn't add mine is not cocoon shaped. So the pattern has an option for tapered waist and tapered sleeves. And I did the not tapered waist, and I'm going to do the slim fit sleeve. So yeah, a little bit different vibe than like what you will see in its pictures, but more my husband's style. So yeah, I've been really enjoying it. It was kind of a cool construction on the back. You pick up, or you cast on for the entire back, and then add short rows to add the shaping. So you can kind of see here how it's like angles up here across the back of the neck, and then angles back down again. And so that's done with short rows. And yeah, it's been a quick knit. It's been enjoyable. I've tried it on my husband a couple times just to make sure that it's going to fit. My swatch definitely grew when I washed it. And so This looks a little bit small for him, but I'm trusting that it will also grow when I wash it. It's not too small, but it's like it's a bit slim. It's a bit slim fit. And the pictures in the pattern are definitely more like oversized, like slouchy fit, but I think it's going to be okay. So I put the bottom on hold. I need to go and pick up for my arms, and I wanted to do the arms before I finished the bottom just to make sure my length was okay. I'm knitting on a 5.5 millimeter needle. I really like just using like a 16-inch circular or something to do my sleeves, and I don't have one in that size. So I'm trying to decide if I'm going to go buy that size or if I will just use magic loop, because it'll go fast. It's a bulky weight gauge. I should probably just use what I have, but I just do not enjoy doing magic loop on arms. So anyways, that's coming along. I need to finish it this week. So maybe it will be done by the time I actually have this edited and posted, in which case I will add a picture. Those are the ones I haven't shown you yet that are like more substantial. I have another, maybe I'll show it later. I'll see how my timing is. I have a shawl that I just started the other day that I could show off, but right now I want to show you my Stria cardigan, which has come a long way since my last episode. I am working on my first sleeve, and I have I picked up for the button band. So that part's done, and yeah, I just have my sleeves to go. And I'm still just loving this so much. I am surprised about how much I have been enjoying knitting it. From other people that I have seen knitting it, it's like been a slog for them. And it is definitely, it takes more knitting time to knit it, but it has been very enjoyable for me. I think partly that is because every row is different. And so it's like a 2-row repeat. And then you do that 10, like you do 10 rows of that, and then you switch to a different color. And that is enough novelty to keep my brain engaged. And so I've been really enjoying it. So I was definitely like ready to split for sleeves because there was a lot of stitches back and forth before the sleeve split. And then the body after that went like pretty quick. And I decided to give myself a little break and pick up for the button band before I went on to do the sleeves, and which was good. It's kind of like a little bit chaotic on the one side with where I have all of my ends. Have to figure out what to do with that, but let me see if I can show off my button band here. So you can see my little buttonholes here. I think I did 6. And yeah, I'm happy with how it's going. So that's really good. I did initially try and pick up and do a double knit button band because I thought that would look really nice, and it would have looked really nice. But I spent hours one day trying to figure that out. My friend is working on the Champagne cardigan by Petite Knit and was telling me about her double knit button band. And so I bought that pattern to use the instructions for the double knit button band and tried it out. I knit like, I don't know, maybe like this much, and it just was not looking right. It was really pulling up at the bottom, and yeah, it would have been really nice. I even started doing the buttonholes. I think I worked like 3 buttonholes. Maybe I got more than that done. It would have been nice, but decided to just go with what the pattern said. Another time. Maybe I will make the Champagne cardigan one day, and then I will add the lovely double knit button band to that. But anyways, yeah, I guess I could try and put it on. Kind of attached. I don't know if I can fit my arm through that sleeve. No, I can't. I'd switch to 9-inch circular now, but I'll go like this. So yeah, it's like a little bit shorter than some of my other cardigans. I think it'll be cute. I'm knitting this in Sonder yarn Sunday morning 4-ply. My main color is called Whale Watching. Got a nice gray color, and then I've got 5 minis that I'm using for the contrast colors, which I'm for sure gonna have leftovers of. I think the pattern's written for just 4 contrast colors, but the yardage was a little bit more than what these mini skeins were, and so I decided to do it in 5 colors. But like now I'm gonna for sure have lots of leftover. So I probably could have gotten away with just the 4 colors, but it's fine. I'm really liking my colors. And I keep being worried that I'm going to pick the wrong color, like the next one in the sequence, and I'm going to mess it up. But so far so good. And I think I've had to rip back maybe just one other time. And I don't remember why. Maybe I didn't do enough rounds before I switched, like before I added in a contrast color, something like that. It's not easy to rip back half fisherman's rib. So I've been paying very close attention to like make sure that I am knitting the right number of rows before I switch colors, because that would have been such an easy mistake for me to make, is to only do 8 rounds and then add in my contrast color and then it'd be too narrow. So yeah, anyways, here we go. Stria Cardigan. I started this, oh yeah, this was my birthday. This was my birthday sweater. And so I started it on my birthday in June, and I'll be done it in a couple of weeks, I think. So yeah, I'm still loving my little train case that I have it in. I will put in a picture of that to remind you. I love it. The like body of the sweater now it's mostly too big to fit in the bottom of the train case. And so I was like able to shove it in a little bit more and still stick my tray of minis on top. But that also brings joy to this project, having that like my very cute carrying case. There's another whip update. What else do I want to show you? Another thing I finished in the meantime, which I don't think I talked about, was a little sweater and a toque for my nephew. He turned 1 in August, and so I made him a little hat and a little toque, which I'll put a picture in. I think I did talk about his sweater that I was knitting because I had brought it along to BC in the summer. That was called the Abate sweater by Alicia Plummer, and then I knit him just a little toque to kind of match. So it was a cute little project to work on for him. And I think I want to show you the shawl that I've just cast on. This was a project that I purchased yarn for years ago, and it has been sitting in a pile ever since. It is called the Snefald, I'm not saying that properly, by Fiber Tales. And this is the second shawl of hers that I've knit in this style. The other one's called the Alv, which was featured in the 52 Weeks of Shawl book by Lina. And this is one of her own like self-published patterns, but it uses the same idea. Knit in the round colorwork shawl, and that's steeked. And I had bought yarn for this, like I said, like years ago from a store that doesn't exist anymore, using Hillsvog, a couple of their like different bases from them, and then also Retrosaria Brusca. And I'm not very far into it now. It's not going to look like much, but this has been, it's an interesting construction, and so it has been also very engaging. I've like just started on the colorwork section here, but I bought the colors that were similar to her sample, and the Alv that I had knit before, I didn't swatch for it. It ended up being quite small. It's like almost like a bit of a neckerchief kind of thing, and I didn't do my steek very well, and so it's fine. I wear it. Yeah, it still serves a great purpose, but I wanted to do it again. I also did not swatch for this. I could check my gauge now with the amount of plain stockinette that I have knit. But anyways, it's coming along. And just been something different for me to be working on in amongst my sweaters. And we'll get 4 skeins of yarn out of my stash. Probably I will have leftovers from all of them, but it is yarn that was purchased for a very specific project, and now that project is on its way, so that's great. The main color, but this brown is, I think it's the Hillsvog Tinned, and it is woolly. So I'm curious how this will feel next to skin. It doesn't actually feel that bad, I think, and I'm sure it will soften with blocking. It will be a very cozy shawl. The weather has cooled down here now in Edmonton. We are having fall, and oh, do you like my bag? I made this out of IKEA fabric ages ago. And it's a great project bag. Ooh, I might have made this in a sewing class. I took a sewing class years ago. I think that's where I made this from. I've used it, I've had it for years now, and I really like it. This was before I had kids. Is that right? Huh, I can't remember now. Doesn't matter. I don't think I've showed my bag off before though. It's not my vibe. It's too colorful, but it's fine. It's very practical, so I use it a lot for my knitting. What was I saying? I probably got on a tangent about my bag. Oh yeah, the weather. So yes, it has started to cool down here. We randomly still had days last week that was like 25 degrees, but this week it's like high of 14 and rainy a little bit or windy. And so I've been wearing my knits and I've just been it's been so nice. And so one of the things I've been wearing is my blanket for Lainey, which is a test knit I did last year for the Bluebird box. And it is just a lovely shawl to wrap myself in when I'm sitting on the couch at home. So I've been really enjoying that. I feel like this will be similar, just like cozy, wrap myself in this lovely big shawl. So I'm hoping that this one will be bigger than the first one that I knit, the Alv, because that one is not cozy to wrap yourself in. It's just enough to go around my neck and maybe stay in place. So anyways, I just started this like 2 days ago. So it's still in its early stages here, but I wanted to show it off because I was excited about it. Another thing I've been working on is a spinning project. So I just last night finished my second bobbin. Let's see if I can get those to show up. This was a merino cashmere. I bought this braid of fiber at the Ancient Arts pop-up event that they had in July that I went to. And yeah, it's from Flock Fiber Studio. And they had it on like the end of their display and it was like very beautiful colors. I'll put a picture of the braid. And then I felt it and I was like, oh my gosh, what is that? And it's merino cashmere. So it is, yeah, 80% merino, 20% cashmere. And the colorway was called Koi Koi. And it has been delightful to spin. I can't remember when I actually started spinning this. I think it must have been after Knit City because I did my spinning class there. And I really want to feel more confident in my spinning. And so yes, this one, I don't know if you can see all the there's quite a few little like curly cues in there. And so I think I over twisted it, but we are going to see what happens when I apply it. I also joined, so Rachel Smith has a podcast here on YouTube called Woolen Spinning. And she also goes by Welford Pearls. She is an instructor with Sweet Georgia. She wrote this book that I bought co-wrote this book that I bought at Knit City. And she has a very large resource library of spinning information on her Patreon. And so I've watched her podcast on and off for quite a few years and always felt a little bit like I don't know enough to actually know what's happening here, because she's very prolific spinner and hand spinner, and then weaves with her hand spun, she knits with it. And the people in the community just like create very beautiful things, really cool experiments that they're doing with different fibers, different preps of things. And this fall I joined the Patreon. And so after I did the spinning class at Knit City, I was just like feeling this like energy around it and felt like, okay, my kids are in school. I think I will have a little bit more brain space to actually kind of focus on this. And so they have a really active Slack community that is, yeah, just lots of people who are really willing to share their expertise. And so I've been slowly kind of dipping my toe into that community, and so want to keep my energy going. So I do think that sometimes my spinning is what causes my sore arms, and so I need to be careful about that. I think because I'm still kind of, I don't feel super confident in what I'm doing. I think I'm quite tense, and especially like my drafting hand is like pinching a lot. And so I was trying to be more mindful of that this time as I was spinning this. Last night it felt good. I did have to like stretch out my forearms and stuff afterwards, but I'm not feeling sore today, so I don't think I overdid it. And was trying to split my time up so I wasn't doing this like marathon spinning session. You know how Andrea Mowry does those things in the spring where it's like 100 days of spindle spinning or 100 days of whatever, and that you know, the goal is to do 15 minutes a day, every day for 100 days. And I think I need to incorporate more of that mindset. I think she did 100 days of knitting one time, and I was like, I don't have to practice that. I got that one covered. But for me to just take 15 minutes a day to spin, rather than sitting down for an hour and then feeling really like tense and sore afterwards, like I think it would be better. And having that like repeated small amount of practice every day rather than this kind of marathon every 2 weeks, like I know that that would be better for me to be learning and developing my skills and stuff. But so I was trying to do that more with this braid. And I think it went well. So hopefully I'll have this applied by next time. And my next goal is to actually do something with my hand spun. Let me just grab my basket. I will show you. This is my basket of hand spun, and I have never knit with any of it. Some of it is more usable than others. This is probably my best spin that I've done. That does not look like the right color. It's more purple than that. This was a braid from Allison Barnes, who's a local dyer here. The only thing I've ever done with my hand spun is that it is, I don't know if you can see that woven kind of mini tapestry thing up there. The year that I got my spinning wheel for Christmas, my sister-in-law got me that weaving kit, and I very quickly then spun something, this like very thick and thin bobbly yarn, and added it to my weaving. And so it's been like, I feel happy about that. It's like, it's in my knitting space. I see it all the time. But otherwise I just have this bin of hand spun that I've never done anything with, and I need to. So that's my next goal, is to actually knit something with it. And I think that that will either be like, yes, I would like to continue this hobby, or it'd be like, you know what? It's not bringing me the joy that I want it to. Knitting is my great love. And so if I am going to spend the time to spin up yarn, I want to enjoy knitting with it. So anyways, okay, I think I will show off some of the things that I bought at Knit City, the things that I at least have in my general vicinity here. I did put a picture at the end of my last podcast of some of it, but I want to talk about it because it was exciting. So yeah, if you don't want to stick around for that, then that's cool. I will show off some of my latest purchases. So first off, because it's just right here, is I bought some yarn from Frankie Gray. They had these cool tote bags that they were selling them, or maybe if you like spent a certain amount of money, then you got one. So this is my collection of Frankie Gray yarn. I bought some more of the Taylor Swift inspired colors. I bought another Reputation, and I bought a Folklore. They look quite similar. And then I bought this one called Iron. And so this is going to be a newspaper pullover, I believe is what it's called, by Joji Locatelli, which is pretty much knit in these same colors. I have a little bit of leftovers from my, can you see this cowl that's here? This cowl that I had knit earlier in the year, which is also Frankie Gray. And I have a little bit left over from that. I think that I have enough now to knit that sweater. It has been on my to knit list for like since I first saw it. I just think it's so beautiful. And so I'm hoping that this is what that will turn into. The yarn is a little bit of a different color. It's a different colorway than the dark color in here. And this one's quite a bit lighter. And so I might need to do something about that. But so that's one thing that I bought. Other sweaters quantity that I bought from Ancient Arts, which I was very excited about. This is a new base that they had commissioned, I guess, from a local farm here in Alberta. It's spun at a local mill here and then dyed by Ancient Arts. And that is just like, I love that so much. It just makes me so happy. And so I'm very excited about whatever this is going to turn into. It's called Heritage. This is their fingering weight version. I have actually something else that I finished that I don't know if I've shown off before, but this is the same yarn in a bulkier weight, and I made these little mittens. I need to block them. I will show them off another day. But it's very woolly. I think it's Gotland. It's a Gotland Fin cross and a Rambouillet. And so yeah, it definitely feels woolly without being scratchy. It's going to be warm and fluffy. And I am just so excited. So this is going to be a colorwork yoke sweater, I think, is my plan. They had put up a picture of their colorway called, I think it was called Frolic. And it looked almost like oil slicky. And that is what I, like when they were showing that picture in the lead up to Knit City, I was like, I want to buy that. And so I did want to buy that. And I looked at those skeins of that colorway, but didn't have a plan of like what I wanted to make. I knew that I could like make a sweater out of this. These are like, I think they're 115 gram skeins, but like they look chonky. It's fingering weight, but it's like, it's plump. So I'm very excited to work on this whenever the day comes, but this was a very joyful purchase for me. I also bought this skein of soft NATO from Ancient Arts, which is their Calgary. Yeah, it's called Calgary. It was their, I think it was their custom one for Knit City or something. So I also don't need more sock yarn. I don't have an update about my sock machine because he and I have not been friends the last little while. I haven't done any more troubleshooting in the last like month, probably because I've just been doing other things, but we did, man, I tripped the other day, not the other day, it was like a couple months ago now. I tripped coming into my knitting room, which I have a video filmed showing off my knitting room that I filmed ages ago that I just haven't finished editing. Once you'll see that, you will understand why I tripped. But I tripped, completely wiped out, hit my shoulder into my sock machine, which is this like heavy metal contraption, hit my face to my mirror. Can't believe I didn't break my mirror. Can't believe I didn't have a bloody nose. And then my knee. And I had a huge bruise on my arm in like a line shape from the leg of my sock machine. And a huge bruise on my knee, which is gone now, but is still sensitive. And I can't believe I didn't like get a black eye or something. Like it was so bad. It's not Fitzwilliam's fault, but we have not had a great time in the last little while. So anyways, I was saying, hopefully this will turn into a pair of socks with my sock machine once I figure out how to use my sock machine. So far, that hasn't happened. Okay, so yeah, I showed this book that I bought. It's called Unbraided, The Art and Science of Spinning Color. So it's by Rachel Smith and Katrina Stewart. So Rachel Smith, I was talking about. Katrina Stewart is the maker behind Crafty Jacks. And so they had a booth at Knit City. And during my spinning class, the instructor Erin had mentioned this book. And so I hadn't made it to their booth yet. So I went back and checked them out. And I bought this little color spinning kit, which I am just going to use to practice. Oh, there's fluff flying about now. I'm just going to use to practice. This book has lots of different techniques for taking, depending on how a braid, or depending on how your fiber looks in its like unspun form, and then what you can do with it, the kind of yarn that you can create out of it. So I'm looking forward to diving into that. I have already used this book as a resource for this other spin that I was working on. So I'm excited about that. And then along that same lines, I bought this box. It was like a spinning sample box or something from the Fiber Goddess. And so this one it's all the same colorway, but in different preps. And so it has a braid, it has a bat, it has some row legs. And then with this, then I can experiment with different methods then for spinning up the fiber and then to alter what you want to get at the end. And so right now I don't have enough knowledge to know like, okay, I want my yarn to look like this. My finished yarn is going to look like this. Here's how I get there. And so I'm hoping that this will help me kind of see if you start from here and then you add this technique to it, this is what you get. So I'm looking forward to that. I bought some random little Notion things that I don't have handy. Oh yeah, this has been sitting behind me here. These are 2 plates of unspun yarn that I got from Crux Fiber. These are large and very woolly and lovely. These are spun at it's not really spun. They're prepped at the McCausland Woolen Mills, which is out on the east coast of Canada. I have a blanket from them, which I love, that I love, and my older son loves and calls it, I think he still calls it the pokey blanket. He might call it the woolly blanket. My younger son does not like it. He won't touch it. It's too pokey for him, but I really like it. And yeah, so I bought 2 plates of this. It is, I think that, yeah, these are from Crux Fibers. And Brittany said that they were at least 200 grams, but probably more than that. And they are more than that. I have lots here. So I have a collection of unspun now that I have not done anything with, which is fine, because when I tried to knit with my Knitted In last Christmas, it was not the vibe that I needed at that time, because if you look at it, it falls apart. But I will try again when I'm in the right frame of mind to experiment with this. I love this purple color. I don't know if you can see all the different like depth of color in there. Again, this isn't quite accurate color, but it's close. So yeah, I'm excited to do something with that. What else did I buy? Oh yeah, I bought this skein from Sassy String Studio. They do collections of colors, I don't know, once a year, maybe twice a year. They're all very cohesive. They'll have like there's not a better word for it. They're very cohesive. And so I have 2 skeins of this already, which I had bought for my Instant Crush as a possible contrast color that didn't end up using. And I got this, which was a skein that I won from a test knit that I had done for the Bluebird box. And so I had wanted to have this middle skein to complete the gradient, and they just released, Sassy Strings just released a new collection, and so I'm worried that they weren't going to have this anymore. And so I was like, I'm just going to do it, it's fine. And so I don't know what this is going to turn into. These 2 are DK and this one is worsted, and actually I think it's fine. I think that it will turn into a shawl with like the 3 faded colors, but we'll see. I just like needed to have it in my collection, even though it doesn't currently have a purpose. I usually buy yarn with a purpose, at least with some idea in mind. And then 3 years later, I knit a shawl with it. So I think that's all, except for my little knickknacks that I bought. I bought a project bag from LB Tree. I bought a little notions pouch from So Shannon. And I bought a leather buttonholeless button. Oh, it's right here actually. A little, I don't know, like a button shaft that you can screw on, and so you can like put it onto your shawl or something to attach your shawl. This is from Pearl and Hank. And then I bought a little notions thing from, it's right where it belongs. This is a little, I don't know what she calls them. I think she calls it a notion case from her Leather Co. And so it's got some very sharp little scissors, darning needle. There's some stitch markers in here. This has like, this is a measurement, like this is proper inches, I think, on that little tag. And it has come in, I've been using it for every project since Knit City. I was looking at her booth, and then she was right across from Frankie Gray Fibers, and I was trying to catch Jody at Frankie Gray because the Instant Crush that I did a sample knit for them was out on display, and I wanted to get a picture of me and Jody and the sweater. And so I had been looking at these notion pouches, and then Jody was free, and so I said, oh, just a second, and I like put it down on the table, ran across the aisle, took a picture with Jody, chatted with her a little bit, and when I came back and Elisa had tucked it away, she's like, I don't have any left. And so she tucked it aside for me, because I'd said I'm coming right back, and so she tucked it away for me, and then I was able to buy it because it was the last one. She'd sold out for the show, and so she said she was making a whole bunch more for Prairie Fiber Festival, which was a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I think they've been popular for her. So, and I can vouch. I really like her stuff, and I really like her too. She's very lovely. So yeah, I think that's everything then that I wanted to show you. I I feel like jazzed about all of my purchases, and I had such a good time at Knit City. I didn't go down to Prairie Fiber Festival, which is another local yarn store or local yarn festival, because I don't need more. I don't need more right now. I did buy this book by Alex Bird, which if you watched my last episode about Knit City, I don't think I raved quite enough about how much I enjoyed Alex Bird's tutorial or her class about Estonian knitting. But I was just feeling very inspired by this. And then she was kind of doing a bit of a tour across Canada and the States while she was like, she'd started, I think she went to Flock and then came to Knit City and then was doing some teaching and stuff in other places. And so she had gone to Les Garçons in Montreal and signed the last copy of their book. And so I was like, fine, that's all the motivation I need to finally order it. She had said at the class that it's not in print anymore, and so like the copies that are out there in the world are what's left. And it sounded like she was maybe working on another project, but anyways, I bought this, and also bought this beautiful skein. When I ordered this from Les Garçons, I also ordered this, which is it's called Fluff, and it's a collab between Les Garçons and Walcott yarns. I don't know how to pronounce that. And it is what Alex uses in one of her other patterns, which is not in this book. But I'm just going to do all of the Estonian knitting, apparently. So I thought, well, if I'm ordering this, I might as well order this from the same place. And then the other yarn that I need for this, my local yarn shop sells. So I just haven't gotten around to buying that yet. But I don't need any more yarn. I did just buy myself a spinning advent calendar from Fiber Goddess, who I got that box from. She's in Calgary. I really like her. I like her business, I like what she stands for. And yeah, liked the idea about having something for myself for Advent. Just, I guess, a little life to update here now before I finish off. My kids are in school now, grade 1 and grade 3. This is the first time in ever, I think, that I am like alone. Like I don't even know what else to say to qualify that, except I'm alone and I have hours of alone time, which is so needed for me and my brain and my nervous system. And I just have not had that in forever. So even before kids, like we lived with people, before that we lived in an apartment, before that I lived with roommates. Like there's always been people in my space in some way. And so yes, I love my children and my children can be in my space. And also it has been very good for me to have some time without them. And yeah, it's been a bit of a...
Time to go pick up the boys.
They're not in school today, but that's my reminder when I'm down here knitting to like, oh yeah, I have to go get them. That's so funny that just went off. Oh dear. I've had a lot of knitting time and it's been very good for my soul. So yeah, it's also felt complicated, I guess. Just, I don't know. It's just the whole thing about like, I'm a stay-at-home mom and my kids are not at home. And so what am I doing? But I have needed this time. I've been anticipating this time for me to recover from the state of burnout that I have been in. And yes, it has been good. So every once in a while I catch myself feeling like, oh, this is, all of my knitting stuff, like it's so frivolous. But like, that's just a mean voice in my head that I say, no, like this is literally like the day that I was working on my Stria doing the button band. I was so focused on that for hours. And it was like, once it kind of like snapped out of me, I was like, oh, I have just been so hyper focused on that for so many hours. And it was so good. Like it was such a good, it wasn't like, oh my God, where's the time gone? It just was like, oh, that filled up my cup so much. And so I need to hold on to that and remind myself like how good that is for me and like how healing that is for me. Sometimes it means I forget to eat. And so then I like realize I'm starving. And so then gotta go take care of that. But having just like many hours to just be able to focus on something and I'm not being asked for snacks approximately every 2 minutes has been very good for me. So yeah, it's been a bit of an adjustment getting settled into school for them, but for the most part, things are going well. It's good for them to be in the kind of structure of school. Yeah, it just every week it feels like, wait, they're at school again? Like I had a couple weeks in the summer where they were like at Grandma and Grandpa's house or at summer camp, and so I had, you know, extended days then. But yeah, I don't feel like I'm just trying to keep my head above water quite as much. And so yeah, I think it will be good for my mental health. As always, I am very grateful for knitting and the role that plays also in my mental health. So I think that's all for today. I will hopefully have lots of updates my next episode because I feel like I'm close to finishing a handful of things here, and that's exciting. I would like to cast on something from my Knit City haul before the end of the year, but I don't really have a firm idea of like what I want next, what I want to work on next, but I'll do a bit of dreaming about that. I also just bought, I don't have it yet, I have the digital version of it, but it's Shetland Wool Week right now while I'm filming this, and I bought the Shetland Wool Week annual, which I'm excited to get in person and be able to read through, but a couple of the patterns in it I really just felt very inspired about, so I kind of want to cast on one of those as well once my like physical book comes. So yeah, we'll see. Probably I will do none of those things and we'll do something completely random. I'll have cast on something completely different and random by the time I talk to you next. I will have bought more yarn because I will have done that impulsively, even though I said I wasn't going to, but that's okay. As I said, this is healing my heart and that is important. So I hope that you are enjoying your knitting. As always, I love to hear what you're working on. Let me know in the comments. You can find me on Instagram as @paper.knits. I post everything that I'm working on Ravelry as well. I am This Is Paper Knits there. And yeah, subscribe to my channel here. You can click the little bell and get notified whenever I randomly upload so that you know that I have finally posted something. And yeah, I think that's all for today. Okay, happy knitting.